What if the most profound secret about human consciousness wasn't hidden in modern psychology or academic philosophy, but buried in a forgotten text that survived the tides of time? What if the key to transforming your reality was hidden for millennia, waiting to be found? Picture this. It's the heat of the Egyptian desert in 1945. A farmer digging for fertilizer stumbles upon a sealed clay jar. Inside, he finds brittle scrolls, manuscripts untouched for nearly 2,000 years. Among them, the Gospel of Thomas. Unlike any gospel you've ever encountered, this one reads like a collection of mystical riddles spoken by a figure many call Christ, but in a voice that sounds nothing like the one preached from pulpits. These teachings suggest they were words reserved only for his closest followers. Words too potent, too empowering to be shared with the masses. Hidden within these enigmatic sayings is a fragment so radical it threatens to upend everything you thought you knew about the nature of reality itself. If understood, it could dramatically shift your outer world and liberate you from the limitations of conventional thinking. But this isn't just any ancient text. Discovered in Nag Hammadi, Egypt, the Gospel of Thomas is one of the most important Gnostic texts ever found. If it hadn't been discovered, we would still have no deep knowledge of Gnosticism and its revolutionary approach to consciousness. The Gospel of Thomas represents anything but standard religious doctrine. It was never canonized, never celebrated from church altars. Instead, it circulated among mystics, Gnostics, and seekers drawn to knowledge that threatened the established order. This collection of 114 cryptic texts reveals a radically different understanding of spiritual reality. But why was it hidden? To answer this, imagine an era when institutional power sought to unify belief into a single, controllable system. Anything that suggested personal empowerment, inner divinity, or direct connection to the divine without institutional mediation was considered dangerous, even heretical. The Gospel of Thomas fell squarely into this forbidden category. Here, the teacher speaks not as a distant savior on a pedestal, but as an awakener, calling listeners to seek the kingdom not in temples or through priests, but within themselves. The message: each individual contains a divine spark and has the potential to become a conscious creator of reality. The Suppression and Survival. To understand why certain truths are hidden from mainstream consciousness, we must examine the relationship between authentic spiritual power and institutional control. The Gospel of Thomas represents a fundamental challenge to systems that depend on external authority and intermediation. During the formative centuries of mainstream Christianity, various theological factions competed for influence. The establishment of canon, which texts would be considered divinely inspired and which would be rejected, wasn't simply about spiritual discernment, but also about political and institutional power. The Gospel of Thomas posed a unique threat to emerging orthodox structures. Its emphasis on direct inner experience over institutional mediation suggested that each individual possessed inherent access to divine wisdom. This directly contradicted the need for specialized clergy and doctrinal hierarchy. Consider the implications of teachings that suggest reality is malleable through consciousness, that manifestation arises not from external agents, but from inner awakening. Such ideas were seen as dangerous because they were potentially liberating. The suppression wasn't just about theological differences, it was about control of the narrative itself. If people could access divine wisdom directly through inner exploration, the need for institutional intermediation would dissolve. Yet despite systematic efforts to eliminate these teachings, they persisted through underground networks of seekers. The Gospel of Thomas was preserved not in official libraries or church archives, but in hidden collections maintained by those who understood its profound implications. These preservation efforts required courage and dedication. Possessing or teaching such texts could result in severe persecution, yet dedicated communities of practitioners continued to copy, study, and apply these teachings across centuries of suppression. The survival of these texts until their rediscovery demonstrates the power of authentic spiritual wisdom to transcend attempts at suppression. The knowledge was never truly lost. It was simply waiting for an era when humanity would be ready to receive it. The core secret, bringing forth what is within. Among the 114 cryptic sayings contained in this gospel, one stands out as the master key to understanding reality creation. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. At first reading, these words may seem abstract or merely metaphorical. However, they contain a precise code for understanding manifestation, not as wishful thinking or simple positive affirmation, but as a profound act of conscious creation. Imagine your inner world as a seed, silent, unassuming, yet holding infinite potential. Every thought, emotion, vision, and intuitive knowing you carry within represents a latent force waiting to be expressed. The ancients understood that what lies within is not merely psychological content, but the primordial substance of reality itself. To manifest effectively, you must become the conscious artist of your own inner cosmos, daring to allow what is hidden within to shape what appears without. This requires recognizing yourself as the active co-creator of your reality, rather than a passive observer. Here's the profound paradox. Most people spend their lives unconscious of this inner power. We are conditioned to believe that the external world is fixed, that reality happens to us rather than through us. Yet the Gospel of Thomas insists that reality is merely the outer projection of our inner state. When you bring forth what is within you, you are not simply expressing yourself. You are literally calling forth new patterns of existence. Conversely, if you keep these inner potentials buried, if you deny, suppress, or ignore them, what remains within festers, becoming a source of inner conflict or self-sabotage. The key insight is that manifestation isn't about fighting the external world or trying to force it to conform to your wishes. Rather, it's about revealing your authentic inner gold and allowing it to transform into external reality. This understanding aligns with quantum physics discoveries, where observation appears to influence reality itself. But what does it mean practically to bring forth what is within you? The Gospel of Thomas leaves these riddles deliberately open, urging each seeker to discover the method that unlocks their own gates of manifestation. The paradox of manifestation. The kingdom is within and without. As we delve deeper into the Gospel of Thomas, the teachings become increasingly paradoxical, inviting us to question our most fundamental assumptions about cause, effect, and the nature of reality itself. Hidden within these ancient statements lies a second layer of understanding that challenges both materialist and mystical perspectives. Consider saying 3. If those who lead you say to you, "See, the kingdom is in the sky," then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, "It is in the sea," then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is within you, and it is outside you. What does this mean for manifestation? It suggests that the desired reality you seek to create is not somewhere outside of you, beyond your reach. Instead, it exists simultaneously within and without. This means your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and state of consciousness directly determine what appears in your external world. The outer world and inner world are not separate domains. They are the same field of consciousness, vibrating at different frequencies. This is the ancient paradox of manifestation. You cannot create what you believe is far away or unattainable. Think of this as the difference between a lucid dreamer and an ordinary dreamer. The lucid dreamer who knows they are dreaming can immediately influence the dream's content. The dream no longer simply happens to them. They become active participants in its creation. Here's a deeper mystery. Manifestation isn't about getting what you think you want. It's about dissolving the illusion of separation between you and what you desire. When you truly understand that the kingdom is both within and without, the need to struggle and strive begins to fall away. This is why many ancient traditions guarded these teachings so carefully. When misused, they risk inflating the ego or creating fantasies of magical control. But in their pure form, they teach surrender, trust, and the art of conscious co-creation with universal intelligence. The Gnostics called this process gnosis, or direct knowing. The fundamental message remains the same. Reality responds to those who understand. It was never rigid or fixed to begin with. Now we reach the crucial question. How can you embody these ancient teachings in daily life? How do you transform timeless wisdom into lived experience that actually shifts the texture of your reality? This requires moving beyond theoretical understanding into practical application, cultivating radical self-awareness. Before anything can be brought forth into manifestation, it must be first seen and recognized. Set aside quiet moments each day for inner observation. Sit in stillness and gently inquire, what am I holding within me right now? Allow whatever arises to surface without judgment or resistance. Simply witness with compassionate attention. The act of conscious witnessing is itself the first stage of creation. This is the mystical seeking the gospel refers to, a deep, courageous turning within to discover what has always been present. The power of authentic declaration. Ancient wisdom traditions understood that the spoken word carries creative power. Take one truth or desire from your inner world and speak it aloud, as if declaring it to the universe itself. Use the present tense and speak from genuine feeling. This isn't about shouting affirmations into the void. It's about giving voice to what is authentically emerging within you, providing form and energy to your sincere intention. Feel the vibration as the words leave your lips and visualize them as weaving new threads into your life experience. Acting as an embodied creator. True manifestation requires action, but this action emerges naturally from inner alignment rather than forced effort. After declaring your inner truth, ask yourself, what is the smallest step I can take today to honor what I've brought forth? The key is congruence, ensuring your outer actions match the reality you wish to experience. When you're aligned internally, inspired action becomes natural and effortless, arising from clarity rather than willpower. Trusting the process through difficulty, the journey from inner seeking to outer manifestation rarely follows a linear path. You may encounter doubt, discomfort, or old patterns arising to be acknowledged and released. This difficulty isn't failure. It's the trouble the gospel mentions, the sacred disturbance that precedes breakthrough. When challenges arise, return to the inner work. Every obstacle becomes a call to deeper remembering of your true nature and authentic power. Daily rituals for conscious alignment. Create simple yet consistent practices that keep you connected to your inner wisdom. Each morning, upon awakening, whisper a single intention for the day, something you genuinely wish to embody. Each evening, reflect, Did I honor what was within me today? Did I live in alignment with my authentic truth? Over time, this ritual plants seeds in the fertile soil of consciousness, and you'll begin to notice the external world shifting in unexpected and profoundly satisfying ways. Integration and synthesis. We began with the mystery of a gospel hidden for centuries, its words wrapped in apparent riddles. But now you've glimpsed the core secret. Manifestation isn't simply about attracting things, but about awakening to your own role as a divine author of your experience. The Gospel of Thomas challenges you to recognize that what you seek outside has always existed within, quietly waiting for you to bring it forth. As you move through your daily life, remember that every moment offers an invitation. The line between inner and outer reality is far more permeable than conventional thinking suggests. When you dare to let your authentic self emerge, when you speak, act, and live in alignment with your deepest knowing, reality responds in ways that can only be described as miraculous. The true kingdom is revealed each time you listen to the quiet voice within and trust it enough to express its wisdom. The question that remains is both simple and profound. What is it within you that is waiting to be brought forth? And what might your world become when you finally allow it to emerge into full expression? This exploration of the Gospel of Thomas invites you to recognize that you are not separate from the creative force of the universe. You are individualized expressions of consciousness itself, here to remember your power and participate consciously in the ongoing creation of reality. The kingdom truly is both within and without, and you are its co-creator.